We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
All right, guys, welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani.
My name is Roderick.
And we are Couples Academy practitioners, and we're here today to continue a conversation we actually started a couple weeks ago. The reason why we're going back is because this is the topic that people keep requesting. How do I trust my spouse? What can I do to win my spouse's trust back? So we're talking about, are you worthy of your partner's trust? We want you to tune in. It's going to be a great episode. Now, listen, I know you could see what's going on, right? It's just like, what's happening? Is he losing his arm? What's happening here? I got a virtual background because we're in a new location and we're building out our studio. And so by the end of the week, we should be fully prepared. If you saw what was going on behind here, you'd be like, what's going on, Hasani? So we're using this virtual background. So if it looks kind of weird, just stick with us. Just go with the flow. It's going to be all good. Listen, couple quick announcements. Listen, September the 9th through the 11th, 2022 is the Unearthed Women's Retreat. Many of you have been asking about it. It is going to be a powerful experience. Lakeisha Hines, Kelly Chauncey, Janella Bradley, and of course, Danielle Pettiford is going to be hosting. You do not want to miss that. Go to the website. Register today. This is their second year. It's going to be an incredible, actually their third year, explosive experience that you do not want to miss. So if you are a part of the Unearthed program, you need to be there. If you have yet to get in and have a thought or a desire to get in, start with this particular retreat because it is going to be a game changer. Also, August 12th through the 14th, coming right up next weekend, Last Chance Weekend. We're excited about the couples who are registering, but there is still room for you. And if you're wondering, what is this Last Chance Weekend all about? Take a look at this testimonial and we'll get started with today's show.
Hi, my name is Gilberto Kennedy. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. And, as a 20-year veteran, just retired from the military, I've experienced a lot of things. Been through a lot, had to do a lot. And nothing could prepare me for what I had in store here at Couples Academy. I was brought down to my lowest by design. And then I was also brought up as well. And some of the things that took place here, I don't even think words can do the proper service to it. It's something that you definitely have to experience for yourself. But if you're in a position where your marriage is literally on a string, then this is a place where you need to be. There was no hope for my marriage. I was separated from the home, away from my kids. And it really felt like I was, co-parenting from a distance, even though we was only 5 miles away. And being here, one of the first things my wife said to me after day 2 is, I want you back home. And that was far away from where we were before we got here. So if you truly value the covenant that you have within your household, and you truly want to experience what it means to truly know who you are as an individual to better know your spouse, then Couple Academy is a place where you need to be.
Love that testimony. I love hearing from men because a lot of times the men come already stuck. They come with the ego, they come with the pride, they come with the agenda to fix their spouse. Man, if you just get this woman together, and then they realize, wait a minute, there's some stuff in me I need to work on. Isn't it awesome when you see men go through a transformation, Roderick?
Well, Sonny, it's very awesome. It's interesting that, as men, we come with all these masks and all these pressures and preconceived ideals and, have to be manly. But then when we create a space at Last Chance Weekend for vulnerability and for a man to be a man, but yet still tap into his sensitive side and share and open up and be truthful.
Yes.
That's the big difference.
It's a huge difference. And it starts at the Last Chance Weekend, but it extends into the Foundry program, of which you have been a member of, and that's been transformational. Like, just your journey alone and what you've gone through. That's why we're excited to have you as one of our practitioners, because not only do you have the experience of transformation, but you're trained and certified and well equipped to really guide men and couples through a process of healing and restoration. So if folks are seeing Roderick for the first time, trust me, it will not be the last. He's going to become a regular staple on our show. But we're talking today about, are you worthy of your partner's trust? And so what are the questions, like, for instance, when we're going through full disclosure and a spouse is writing a list of questions down that they want their partner to answer to give them clarity about what has happened. One of the questions I always hear is, well, how could I ever trust you again? Or how can you convince me that I should trust you again? And the reality is, every time I hear it, I say to myself, there's really no response that's sufficient for that question. Because in essence, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I say. It's whether you are willing to give me an opportunity, because I could build up a strong case and I could say all the right things, but that's not necessarily going to win you over. It requires a number of different things in order for trust to be restored. And we've talked about some of these things in the past, but I just wrote down a list of things. Think about it. It's going to take time. Yes. It's going to take space. It's going to take specific tasks that you have to accomplish, counseling, prayer, actions, a shared vision for the future, a plan that you put in place, persistence and patience and intentionality. It's going to take God. There's so many things. And all of these things that I just mentioned, think about like Legos. You just have a bunch of Legos. What do you do with it? You can build some amazing structures. Now, I don't know if you've ever been on YouTube or if you've ever gone to a trade show and you've seen like these gargantuan monstrosity structures of amazing things that were built from Lego pieces. And it's just like, man, you did that from this? Yes. And the point is, in our journey to restore our spouse's trust, when it seems like everything has been shattered and everything has been destroyed and there are pieces all over the place, you can take those pieces and begin to put them together and build something that is magnificent. And that speaks to the fact that so many people, after going through a recovery process, have wound up having better relationships after the recovery process than what they had prior to.
Well, Hasani, the one of the things I want to add to your list is you have to make a choice, not just the betrayed spouse to whether or not they're going to trust or not trust, but the betrayer. The betrayer has to make a choice to say, because they're thinking in their minds too, my spouse would never trust me again. I've hurt them so much, they're not. But they have to change that mindset and say, okay, if I am to regain that trust, it starts with me believing that I can do it. And then the two of them coming together to agree that, yes, we are in this thing together. I don't trust you right now, but I am willing to give it a try and see where it goes.
I think you make a great point, because unfortunately, so many men, in particular, since we're talking about men, but I would imagine women as well, look at the damage that has been caused, and they look at their spouse's ability to trust again as such an impossibility, because their spouse is in pain. They have vitriol for their spouse at that particular time because of what has just happened. They've made hardcore, uncompromising declarations as to what will never be again. Yep. And so you're hearing these words and you're seeing your spouse's actions and you're like, well, what's the point? Like, it would be easier just to walk away and start from scratch than to try to rebuild this. And so many people enter into this process already defeated in their minds. And if you show up defeated in your mind, then your actions, your disposition, all of it will be lackluster and none of it will be believable. And it reinforces your spouse's inability to trust because you're not showing up consistently. So to your point, Roderick, it really starts with an internal belief, right? And decision that you make that regardless of the situation, I'm going to do whatever is necessary and possible to win my spouse's trust back.
And Hasani, it's amazing how as men, we're taught at a young age that, hey, anything you put your mind to, you can do it. And we apply that to anything and everything except the important things.
Yes.
We apply it to sports.
Yep.
We apply it when it comes to making money. We apply it whenever we feel like we're overweight. We apply it to everything except the important stuff, like our relationship with our spouses or our relationships with our family and kids.
As
Our
I like to say,
relationship with our spiritual Heavenly Father. So, yeah, it's something that we can change by just refocusing our mindset and our efforts.
like I like to say, we are he men with she weaknesses. And to that point, we're strong and we're adamant and we're intentional and purposeful and resilient and have stick to itivism and accomplish all types of incredible things. But when it comes to the matters of the heart, we buckle. We buckle at the knees and we don't know what to do. And we run into our caves because we haven't really tapped into the inner essence of who we are. Like, we live life as men from the outside in, not the inside out. And so therefore we know more about our physicality and our brute and our masculinity and the way we're supposed to show up in the world. But when it comes to intimate affairs, that's where we're struggling. Now, of course, you and I are men, so we always have a tendency to lean that way. But this is not gender specific. There are many, and a lot of this has to do with personality as well. It's not just gender. There's so many women as well who are hardened and are tough and rough. And when it comes to vulnerability, they don't know what that means because that's not how they were raised. And so this is why so many people have trouble and issues in their relationship when it comes to having difficult conversations and being raw and vulnerable and working through these dark times to get to a better place. But let's begin talking about some of the things that we need to begin to do in order to restore trust. Now, this concept, and I want everybody to write this down if you have notes, is called a trust bucket. Okay. You need to create a trust bucket. And with this bucket, if you think about it, there are things that we can do to fill up that trust bucket. And there are things that we can do to drain the trust bucket. So the bucket is filled with, say, water, right? So how do you pour water in? You put it over a faucet. Now, if there's a tiny little hole in that bucket, it begins to seep out. It begins to drain, right? And so then the question becomes, what are 3 things that your spouse can begin to do to fill up your trust within this bucket? Okay, well, if he or she does this, if he or she shows up this way, if he or she says these particular things, these are the things that will begin to rebuild my trust for my partner. And then I want you to identify, what are those 3 things that deplete or drain your ability to trust because they're still showing up doing some of the same things that they were doing at the time that they were off the beaten path and doing their own thing and compromising the integrity of the relationship. So let's keep it simple. 3 things that they should do, 3 things that they should not do. And, when you're working with your couples in these sessions, Roderick, trust is one of the biggest things that they struggle with. How impactful could a trust bucket be for them?
Hasani, the trust bucket gives structure. It actually gives tools to the couples that they can gravitate to, that they can grab hold to, and that they can understand. Because right at the beginning, they're in an emotional state. The betrayed spouse is not understanding, how I can get trust? How do I even start? But the trust bucket allows them to focus and ask questions to themselves. If trust is possible, what is it that I need for my spouse to do for trust to be built? If I'm the betrayer, I want to know, what do I need to do? I think I know what I need to do, but that doesn't mean that's what you think I need to do. Exactly. So that trust bucket brings everything to a point. It forces communication. It gives them a roadmap, and it gives them a starting point.
You're absolutely right. And so said a different way, fillers and drainers, because we were just talking about this last night in our moving forward group with our couples, is that you want to focus on what you should be doing, but also focus on what you should no longer be doing. Because if you begin doing all the right things, right, but you're continuing to do the wrong things, those wrong things cancel out all the right that you do. So I was giving an example to the group last night that, I'm on a fitness journey trying to become my best self. And so it requires both self-control and self-discipline, right? So self-discipline, which is a focus on doing the right thing, says, okay, I got to get up early in the morning. I got to get my exercise in. I got to drink my water. I got to do my meditation. I'm focusing on the right thing to do. It requires self-discipline. When I don't want to get up, I got to get up. When I want to hit the snooze button, I know I got to get up and do what I need to do. Self-discipline. But it also requires self-control, because guess what? I got a sweet tooth. Guess what? I love carbs. So about halfway through the day, when my stomach is growling and I just want to slice a piece, just one slice. I mean, it's not that bad. I just want a Snickers bar, just one piece. I need self-discipline to keep me from doing what I should not do. So if I'm working out every single morning and I'm going hard in the paint and I'm eating all the right foods, but at the end of the day, I just have a scoop of ice cream, I just have a slice of pizza, all of my bad behaviors compromises all of my good behaviors. So it's almost like the good doesn't even mean anything anymore, because it was all thrown away, tossed away, because I continue to show up doing all the wrong things. So likewise, in the context of restoring trust in your relationship, you have to focus on the fillers, the things that fill up the trust bucket, but you also have to focus on no longer engaging in drainers, things that pull trust from your spouse. When you begin to do this consistently, then your spouse begins to open up her heart and change is reality. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. I hope you're getting something out of us. Stay tuned. We got a couple quick announcements. We'll be right back to continue this conversation.
My name
Hey guys, we're back. This is the Couple Academy show. My name is Hasani and I got Roderick with me. I'm honored to have him with me, man. I've been saying, listen, I can't wait to release you to the world because there's so much wisdom and insight that you bring, just a unique perspective. So it's an honor to have you on, my friend.
Well, thank you, Hasani. It's an honor to be here and be a part of Couples Academy and just be able to give back.
Absolutely. We have some great comments that just came in. One from Shalise that says, "Hello from New Jersey. My husband has declared that he will never stray again, and he's committed to regaining my trust, but he still won't or can't answer critical questions. So I am stuck. I fear if I can't move forward without these answers, trust will be never be regained, and true forgiveness will be out of reach for me." Yeah, this is I want you to weigh in on this, Roger, because I have a couple right now that I'm working with. They're from a country in Africa, and similar situation. Like, she wants to move forward, but she just doesn't feel like he's being honest when it comes to full disclosure, and it keeps her trapped. And she wants to move forward, but it's almost like her feet are stuck, and she can't move forward. There's no traction to be able to move forward, though she desires to. How important is trust? Let me rephrase that. How important is it to be truthful about the details of the affair and the space that a person was in order to be able to regain trust, forgive, and move forward?
Well, Sonny, being truthful is very important in the trust or the rebuilding of trust process, especially when you're trying to overcome a betrayal. You have to show up differently. How else is your spouse going to see you in a different light if you don't show up, or if you show up the same way that you've always done in the past that led to that betrayal? So opening up, telling the truth, whether it hurts or not. What the betrayer doesn't realize most of the time is what you've already done has made a very impactful, game-changing, painful experience on the betrayed spouse to begin with. So by not telling them, all you're doing is continue to compound that, continue to allow them to relive, continue to allow the pain to be revisited. By telling the truth, even though it's a painful situation, you're actually helping with the healing process for that betrayed spouse. You're allowing you're allowing the couple, you and your spouse as a couple, to start over because you're showing up different. Before you was a liar, now you're on the pathway to telling the truth, to rebuilding the relationship. And that's how you start consistency. Telling the truth one time is not going to regain the trust, but it has to start somewhere.
Exactly. And here's the reality. As a couple, you probably have had an incalculable number of conversations trying to understand, trying to dig deeper, trying to get insight on this affair or this betrayal, whatever it was. And you feel like, yeah, I'm getting a little bit out, and yeah, I kind of feel like it's like trickle truth, little pieces come out little by little by little. And so you find yourself trapped in this phase where weeks go by, months go by, and for some couples, years go by, and we're still trying to figure these things out. And you may have asked 1,001 questions, but the reality is you don't know every question to ask. So you get answers to your questions possibly, but you still may not have the full story, because listen, if you don't ask, I'm not telling, and I'm only going to respond to what you know what I'm saying? So this is why we encourage you connecting with a counselor and allowing them to facilitate that conversation. When you're having a full disclosure, it's not something that can be done even in a 60-minute session. When we're doing half day solutions, which is a 4-hour block of time, that at a minimum, it's what's required to be able to have a comprehensive conversation. And I'm going to tell you something. For those of you who are going to counseling and you're going on a weekly basis, and you have this hour one week and an hour another week, if you feel like, you know what, we need to do this full disclosure, you got to prepare, not to stretch it out over several weeks, but you got to prepare to really select a block of time to go deep. This is why we do this in a 3-day intensive, or at a minimum in a 1-day intensive, because it takes time to unpack and unravel. And you want somebody else who's a part of the conversation asking questions that you wouldn't even think to ask. Like the way that we prepare you both for the conversation is probably something that you've never done on your own because you don't know the method to do it, but just the preparation for it allows for more truth and honesty to come out. And then us facilitating and engaging and us being a part of the conversation and re-articulating and reinterpreting and repivoting and asking questions and pulling out answers, it allows it to be more comprehensive. So if you find yourself in a stuck place, stop being committed stop being committed to doing what you've always done. Do something different. Like many of us are so addicted to the familiar. And we wonder, well, if we just do it a little bit harder, or if we just stay a little bit more committed to the familiar, eventually it'll work. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes you have to do something radically different to get a better result. So please reach out to us because I think we could be helpful in your journey to get to the truth. There's another comment that came in. I love the idea of the trust bucket. For both sides of the betrayal, it seems like such a great tool to keep the overview and the place to go to when the emotions can run high. Yeah, trust bucket is critically important, and it's something that you both can do. A follow-up question is, can we put details about the trust bucket on the app? Thanks for even mentioning the app. If you have not downloaded the app, you want to make sure that you do that, because there you can find out about all of our resources, all of our events, just everything we have coming up, our classes, just everything. So download the Couples Academy app. Just go to your app store, get it today. Notifications about everything we're doing. You're kind of like a part of the Inside Club. So yeah, we can definitely add information about the trust bucket there as well. Guys, we're talking about restoring trust. We got a couple more comments. Miss Jules says, yes, the information may hurt, but the respect will be given for the honesty. So very true. It's going to hurt, guys. And that's the thing. Sometimes, Roderick, people don't want to talk about these things because they don't want to hurt their partner, but they're hurting their partner more by not telling them.
By not telling them, Hasani. And it sounds like an oxymoron. Well, I don't want to hurt you by telling you the truth, but you've killed me by lying to me.
Pause. Say that again. Say that again.
I don't want to hurt you by telling you the truth, but you've killed me by lying to me.
Did you hear that? You're hurting. Listen, you are killing me by lying to me. That's a bomb drop. And I think most people do not understand that. And that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. And it's, I know we've all heard this for so long. Truth is the best policy. Truth is the best policy. But although we say it, or let me put it this way, knowing the way is not going the way. Just because we know something doesn't mean we're doing it. But to rebuild that trust after betrayal,
yes,
it has to start somewhere. And it starts with telling the truth, telling the story, providing the details. Now, it's times where you don't remember all the details. So that's where the betrayed spouse plays a role in asking the questions that they feel like they need to know. But the betrayer needs to be as transparent and as upfront as possible with the truth for anything to begin, for the trust to begin, for anything, any opportunity to move this relationship forward. Truth telling has to happen.
Absolutely. Elaine, this must be a thing. I feel the same way with the full disclosure. I don't feel I can move forward without all the details I'm asking for. I want phone records, and he refuses to give them to me because he doesn't see. I guess she continues on, or she didn't continue on, but I get the point. And so, guys, once again, if you feel that you're in a stuck place, call in resources, call in a lifeline, call in help. Call on Couples Academy so that we can effectively guide you through. You know, I will say this. There are some things that are important to know, really are. Yeah. But then, you know, in this process, one of the responsibilities we have is to question why it's important to know other things. And so the question is, will the things that you learn actually help you, or will they hurt, harm, and hinder you? Now, some people's resistance to telling you what you want to know is because they know who you are. And they know that every time truth is given, they're not rewarded, but they're punished for that truth. So there's a resistance. They're not only not trying to hurt you, they're not trying to get hurt by you because they fear your reaction when the truth comes out. And so this is why, if we're really going to go down this path, it requires both of you being responsible for showing up in a particular way. Otherwise, it's going to go downhill.
Yes. Yes.
A couple more comments. D says, those who have nothing to hide nothing. I love it. Donald, you're absolutely right. This is one of the things that we've been saying for quite some time. If you have nothing to hide, then you hide absolutely nothing. If you're not an open book, if you're not transparent, if you can't leave your cell phone up, not down, if you can, like everywhere you go, you got it clenched, right, for dear life, because you know there's a secret world in this phone. Like when it comes to questions, you're very tight-lipped. You give one-word answers. You avoid, you evade. You talk about what it wasn't, what you didn't do, what you didn't have, what you didn't feel, all of these different things. You're living your life by avoidance. And so it's a dead giveaway that, wait a minute, you're holding on to something. I can't trust you, but you want me to trust you. Listen, rather than putting the focus on your partner for them to trust you, how about you focus on you being trustworthy? Being worthy of your spouse's trust. That requires a change within you. And once that change happens within you, then slowly but surely trust can be restored.
Hasani, one thing about that you just mentioned too, all of the hiding, the keeping secrets, the holding back information, the weight that causes on a person. You just don't realize how liberating it is to tell the truth, to get it all out, to put it all on the table. So I'm no longer wondering when my phone rings, let me beat my wife to it. Or if some mysterious knock happens on the door, just being truthful, releasing all that, you'll be amazed how peace of mind you have, how relaxing it is, how much now that you can pour into your spouse versus lifting that heavy weight of lying.
Absolutely. That is an actual fact. And listen, guys, we're just getting started with this conversation. There's so many more nuggets we have to share with you in terms of what needs to be done to be worthy of your partner's trust. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Roderick's going to be joining us to continue this conversation. But until then, have a blessed day. Remember, tune in tonight. Today's Tuesday, and I believe Lakeisha Hines has her Saving Our Sex Lives. So make sure you tune into that. Love you guys. See you in the AM.